All right. Okay. Well, welcome. We've had a little bit of a siesta. What do we call it? We call it a little bit of downtime. You know why? We've been going to conferences. That's why. And many of you on this call I've gotten to see out there. And Marissa, I was just telling Marissa, in 4 or 5 different sessions at conferences, people have said, you guys have to go to the Kangarootime webinars. They're awesome. And then each time somebody said that, they're like, even in spite of the host, and give me the look. But um, welcome, everybody. We're so glad to have you. We get so inspired by being able to share with each of you. This webinar thing was a labor of love during COVID when we told our investors and we told our team, hey, we're in the most crazy, tumultuous time in the history of childcare. It doesn't make any sense for us to be selling to anybody or trying to huck software. Right now, it's about battening down the hatches and throwing our arms around our customers and just trying to build community. So speaking of community, first thing I would like to encourage each of you to do is go join 2 places or 3 places. Go join KT Childcare Connect. Has over 1,000 members. We do lots of digital storytelling. It's a place for us to collaborate and talk about all things early education. Next thing I would like you to do is go to YouTube. Our YouTube channel is so undersubscribed. We only have 417 subscribers, and in my opinion, this is the most valuable war chest of great content there is in early education. There are so many videos here. Even look at me. This is my ugly cry face. This is me, and as part of the documentary. If you haven't seen the documentary, give it a look-see. But subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get notifications whenever we put out new content. Prerna, you're going to be a YouTube star here in about 3-4 hours as soon as Marissa throws this thing up. And then
I'm subscribed.
also,
Yeah, I'm subscribed to your
you,
channel.
oh, good. Yes. Why wouldn't you be, Prerna? It's just it's so much good content. Also, thanks to Marissa. Marissa leads our team of content developers. So we have a ton of content on our blog. Please subscribe there. You'll get a notification when we throw up new content. And she's always throwing up these great tools. So all this tooling, spreadsheets, things that she sees in the market, she shares with other people. And then lastly, bounce on into Buffalo here in late July 20th through the 22nd. We are throwing our first in-person conference, and I like to joke that we're just going to lock the doors, turn the heat up, and try to sell all you guys Kangarootime. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to bring the best and brightest presenters and content makers in childcare, and show you how we do it in Buffalo. Buffalo's not so great in the winter, admittedly. I'm sorry everybody, but in the summer it's glorious. Come on out, see Niagara Falls, come hang with us, and we are just going to have a blast with like-minded early educators. So let's get this show on the road. Sign up for Bounce. We'll see you there. But about Prerna. Prerna Richards is a coach, a consultant, a trainer, an international speaker. She has been in the early education field for 35 years. She started when she was 7. Majority of her experience is with the NAEYC accredited programs, and she's a great partner, and we love having her on. As we get into today's discussion, let me just clear up a few things. Prerna's content is certified, so you will be getting certificates for continuing education. We will send those to you after we verify your attendance and your sign-up. So we match those up. But don't send us emails. We're really good at doing that. If you don't see it in a couple of days, then email us. If you have questions, click the QA tab in the Zoom interface and fire the questions there. Marissa and I will be in the background answering questions as we go. And then if we can't answer them, Prerna's going to carve out about 5 minutes at the end, maybe 10, to answer all those questions. Your microphones and cameras. Guys, Kevin over here, he's famous for going into the bathroom and leaving on his Zoom camera. We can't see you do that. Now Kevin has a different level of access, and Siri's jumping on me. So we can't see you. And then a recording will be distributed to you sometime probably later today or tomorrow. With that said, Prerna, welcome. Prerna is going to discuss and help understand one of the hottest topics in early education, in my opinion. It's stress and anxiety in children and how it relates to their behaviors, the behaviors that we see. She'll share practical and effective strategies to intentionally support social, emotional, and mental well-being in all children. Prerna, more than anything, it's so wonderful to see your beautiful face. Welcome, welcome. And I'm going to unshare and hand it over to you. Welcome.
Hi, Scott. So nice to be here. It's absolutely wonderful to see everybody here. And yes, we are talking about stress, anxiety, behaviors in young children. And yes, sign up for Bounce. I'm presenting. I'm so excited. It's their first conference. You want to attend this. You absolutely want to attend this. So this is a conversation. This is not a training. This is a conversation. So feel free to ask questions. I know we have Q&A time at the end, but I'm okay with you asking in between. I never can hold my questions to the end. So if you think of something you need to know as I'm talking about it, Marissa and Scott are keeping an eye on the Q&A. Let me know, and I'm happy for them to pause me and say, there's a question come in. All right, let's talk about this important topic. Thank you so much for being here and taking time on your busy day to talk about stress and behaviors. I want to start the conversation by saying behavior is a form of communication. So whatever the behavior you're seeing in your classrooms, from your teachers and from your children, it's a form of communication. That is telling us something. And I don't know if you know this or not, but this is an interesting, cool fact to know. The stress comes in 3 levels. So the first level of stress is positive stress, something good that happens in our life, but it still generates stress inside us. So for example, getting married, having a baby, getting a new job, these are all fun things, going on a vacation, these are all fun things, but they still generate stress. The second type of stress is tolerable stress, something that has a limited time frame that you know you can power through, you can talk your brain out of it, you can gear up and get through it knowing that it has an end and your body can tolerate it. The same thing that you can tolerate, which is tolerable stress, turns into a toxic stress when your body can no longer tolerate it. So what does that mean? You start having health issues, you start having mental issues, and children are no different. So somehow there's a misconception that toxic stress is just the big buckets of abuse and neglect and divorce and death and such. It's not true. Anything your body can tolerate and then it no longer can tolerate becomes toxic for your body. And one of the best ways to know if your body is under stress is if you have digestive issues, period. If you have digestive issues, your body's under stress. I mean, think about it. So many pharmaceuticals have endless medications. If you go to pharmacy and if you go to a grocery store, the aisle is full of digestive issues, bloating, cramping. It's just nonstop, right? So we are experiencing a lot of stress. And I want to talk about stress in children specifically, because children don't have the vocabulary to help us explain to us that this is what I'm feeling, but their behavior tells us that they're experiencing it. Have you seen that? Like if you are in the chat, tell me if you've seen this in your classrooms. Are the behaviors increasing? Have you noticed a difference in since the pandemic, even the last 5 years? Is it getting worse? Is it getting less in the part of the world that you're in? So one of the best strategies, yeah, let me know in the chat, or, I'd love to know who's listening. Yeah, let's engage in the chat. It's always nice to see. I'll try my best not to get sidetracked and distracted. One of the best ways to deal with stress is teaching our children breathing strategies. Breathing is so powerful. I would encourage you to join me in a breathing right now. Let's just be fully present here to listen and learn and get the oxygen in our brain and in our lungs. So let's do a heart breathing. Why don't we do heart breathing? So take a deep breath. Hold and release. Just let the day's tension go. The next one, let's do a square breathing, because it's nice to have something tangible to follow when we're doing it with children. So let's do this. So we need 3 deep breaths. The third one, let's do something that we're grateful for. I always want to start at the gratitude space. I'm so grateful that we're here together. Take a deep breath. All right. So, all right, awesome. Thank you for the interaction in the chat. Yes, you're noticing it. I feel it. So let's talk about behaviors, especially since we're talking about anxiety and nervousness, insecurity. It comes from a part of our brain, which is the survival brain. And the survival brain has, I'm going to share my screen. The survival brain has, can you see my screen? No, maybe you can't. Hang on. I need to share my screen. I didn't do that right. Oh, yeah, there we go. See, it just takes a minute to pop out of it. Here we go. And
There it is.
there it
I
is.
can see it now.
There we go. So this is, these 5 F's are associated with the survival brain. Our survival brain is right here. When we feel scared, when we feel anxious, when we feel nervous, we are in our survival brain. These 5 F's happen to be symptoms that somebody's in their survival brain. These are not the causes, these are the symptoms. So, for example, children fight, hit, kick, and there's a lot of aggression. And you might think it really not a logical thing to think that the child is scared, that that child is nervous, and that's why they're acting out. It's associated with it because they're creating a barrier. If some, especially the children who hit and punch without being provoked, and you're just like, what happened? Nobody did anything to you. Why did you hit? They did it because somebody came too close and it made them nervous. And so they did it to protect themselves. So fear is a real emotion. Anxiety is a real emotion. Nervousness is a real emotion. Insecurity is a real emotion. These are all real emotions. And all of them are coming from our survival brain. We flight, we take off. Children do that quite often. I've seen this happen. They've hit somebody and then they run away and then they start crying and they're doing this, or you can't catch them. They just take off. That child is scared. These 5 F's are absolutely clear symptoms of the scared brain. So why do we flip into our survival brain? And so they look frightened, they don't make eye contact, or they freeze. You're talking to them and they're just like, huh? And quite often adults will say, don't be rude. I'm asking you a question. Answer me. And they're not trying to be rude. They don't have a comeback. They don't have any words right now because they're in their survival brain and they're not in their logical brain. Fibbing, just flat out lying. They do something and then they don't take ownership of it because they're scared. And they do it because they don't want to get into trouble. They don't want other friends to get into trouble. So this is a way that they're telling us, their behavior is telling us that they're in their survival brain, right? But why does the survival brain get triggered? There's so many things that happen. And I want to share this next screen with you. Look at all these reasons. And what has COVID done for us? Our routines and schedules have been affected. We have been short-staffed, short-handed. So what do? We shuffle kids from this classroom to this classroom. We combine classrooms. We move teachers around. That is all creating stress in the brain. That is all creating the survival brain to get activated. I'll tell you a story about this child that I learned about just last week. I was in my coaching session. I do coaching sessions for behaviors every Friday. I was talking to a teacher, and she described a little guy, 4 years old. I'm going to call him Zach, and I'm going to call the teacher Andrea. Don't go looking for them. They're not real, but I want to tell you what actually is real. So Andrea noticed that Zach behaves differently at the third circle. So they're doing 3 circle times. They're doing morning circle, afternoon circle, and late evening circle before they send them home. And Zach's behavior is different in all of the 3 circles. So he can manage his behaviors for the first 2 circle times. He can kind of sit, but he's kind of fidgeting. I've been coaching her for the longest time for her classroom behaviors. So the behavior is changing, but he struggles with the last one. And so that's why we were unpacking the last one. And so I said to Andrea, I said, what do you think it's about the third one that he's not able to remain calm and stay on task? What do you think is happening? Because she knows the child much better than I do. And she says, I said, describe to me what you're noticing. And she said, if I had to describe it, the best thing I would say would be it's nervous energy. He's jittery, he's got nervous energy, he's bothering somebody, he's moving around. So I said, okay, so it sounds like he's feeling anxious and nervous. That's what you're noticing. Why do you think he's acting that way? And she said, well, I said, what's different about the last circle than it is from the other 2? And she said, well, the last one is not as structured. The last one is one that we ask questions and children raise their hands to answer the question. The last one is also where we do music and movement, and it's spontaneous and it's different every day. And so we never know what we're going to do. So guess what? She answered her own question, right? The reason he's getting triggered is because it's unpredictable. He doesn't know what to expect. There's no consistency. And possibly there's pressure to perform, pressure to answer a question. So he gets all worked up, and then he starts creating a distraction with people around him because he wants to not be called on. So he's creating all this. Have you heard of the people who, like, even in high school, they do this? If they don't know the answer or they're not feeling confident, they'll become the class clown, right? Have you heard of that? So that is why he's expressing this nervousness and anxiety. So anxiety and nervousness comes in many ranges, right? This child clearly gets triggered, and I'm going to share strategies in a minute how to help these children. But have you noticed that? Like, has anybody noticed, like, a certain time of the day children will act up? Have you noticed that they might act up around certain people? So this was another example that this teacher gave me. She said that he's been getting speech therapy. And when the speech therapist was about to leave, she was gathering all the toys, and Zach lost it. He was thrashing out. He was angry. He was saying things like, you can't leave, you can't take the toys. These are my toys, my toys. So again, I asked her, because I'm in the coaching space, I'm like, what do you think he's experiencing that minute? What do you think is happening? And this is what I would encourage you all to do, all of you in the early childhood space. When you see a behavior, start asking yourself, what is this behavior trying to tell me? What is the underlying emotion here? What am I missing? What is this about? Start unpacking it, right? So I asked her that. I said, what do you think that was about? And she said, well, maybe it was a sense of attachment that he was having with the speech therapist in the moment. Maybe that felt special, that this was his time and it felt safe, and now she was leaving, and maybe he didn't want to share the toys. So again, having a sense of that attachment, and fear, anxiety, insecurities, all of these come when we feel like we don't have control, when we feel like I'm losing something, when we feel like abandonment, sense of abandonment, right? So she, during the reflection, she was able to see that the survival brain was getting activated. And so that's one example of how children can express nervousness and anxiety and insecurity. The other way it shows up is if something big is happening in your life, like if you're having divorce, separation, remarriage, any of those big, big traumatic things that children might be experiencing. So all of those things that I just mentioned are really big for adults, but they are even bigger for children. Why? Because they don't have any control. They don't have a say and they can't express it. So helping children to be able to identify it and help them to explain it. I'll tell you a family that I'm coaching right now. They're going through, but they've been through divorce already. So I've been working with this family since the little child was in kindergarten, and now she's reached third grade. So during this time that we've been working together, the family the parents have finally divorced. They have separated. They are now getting remarried, and the emotions that the little girl is feeling is all over the place. So the emotional peaks are happening, the scared feeling is happening, because change is hard, right? Change, unknown is hard. And so the other day I was talking to her and I said, the new second wedding is coming up. The mother is getting remarried and the dad may at some point. And so I asked her, I said, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about your parents going through this? And she said, well, I'm mostly excited for them. It's a good thing for them. And I said, but how are you feeling? And she said, well, mostly I'm happy, but I'm also nervous. And I said, okay, so what are you nervous about? And she said, well, I keep telling my brain that there's nothing to be nervous about. But I said, where in your body do you feel it? Where in your body do you feel something? So that's another strategy, right? Where in your body do you feel it? So we can help children identify, what does this uncomfortable emotion feel like? And she said, my tummy gets tight. Okay, that's great. So now what can we do about it? So I'd be curious to know if any of you've experienced this. Does this make sense? Can you relate to it? Are you noticing children who are going through stress and acting out? Do you agree with these reasons why the survival brain could get triggered? The other one that I've listed over here is the controlling adults. Let me tell you about controlling adults, because quite often controlling adults want to run a very smooth classroom. Controlling adults follow procedure, they have systems, but they're controlling the environment. For example, I was in this classroom. This teacher was walking the classroom. She had 12 kids and they were all engaged. There was no behaviors happening. But she was walking the classroom and she kept asking each person, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? She must have gone to some training that must have told her that you need to talk with kids. But sweet one, she was actually imposing the play rather than supporting the play, but that's a whole other conversation. But she was controlling it to the extent of only you could have 2 cars. Why? There's a whole bucket of cars in the block area. Why are you not letting them use it? But then she was walking it, and in my head, I thought, she's policing this. And we didn't join the police. We joined the early childhood education. But she's got the police beat going. She's like doing her rounds instead of slowing down and being present and engaging with the children, having a conversation with the children. That controlling adult is creating absolutely, an insecure environment. She's creating this tension that if I step out of line, I'm going to get into trouble. If I don't answer, I'm going to get into trouble. Does that make sense? Are there any questions, or should I keep going, or any comments or anything that I need to pause? Marissa, I'll let me know. Otherwise, I'll keep going. All right. So some strategies, what can we do, right? That's what this conversation is about. And by the way, this is a very short time for us to dive into a deep, deep conversation and to have, really unpack what's happening in the brain. The best place to remember is what's happening in here is showing up there. The behavior is telling us that something is not right. The behavior is telling us that I don't know what to do right now, right? So if we can unpack it, we can help the children. But here's the thing, so many adults are stressed out. You can't give what you don't have. If you're not feeling the calm and you're not feeling settled and you're showing up insecure because life is happening for you and COVID has done this to us, we're all in the survival brain, and this just nobody knew we would be in this space this long. So the effects are real, right? And if we can just pause and recognize that the adults are showing me a behavior, the children are showing me a behavior, and these emotions are real, but they don't have a vocabulary for it. So I would start with giving the children emotional vocabulary. What does that mean? Labeling all the emotions that I just said: insecurity, fear, scared, anxious, nervous. These are all emotional vocabularies. And this is a great book that, I always want to give you resources because I want you to have all the tools. I Am Human. I don't know if you guys listen to Brene Brown or not, but I'm a big fan of hers. And she talks about how the human emotions are like 500 plus. And we're not even articulating all the other underlying emotions. We're just so on the surface with happy, sad, mad. We're just so on the surface with the big, big buckets. But when we give our children the emotional vocabulary, we're giving them a way to meet their emotional needs and mental needs. We're empowering them instead of enabling them. But so many adults grew up and don't even have the vocabulary. So educate yourself in the emotional vocabulary and use it actively with children. Here's another really good book, Sometimes I'm a Bumbaloo. Just funny, just great children's books. This is another good one for the emotions. Today, the way I feel. I think the more we can start giving them the vocabulary for expressing their emotions, the more empowered they will become, and the more control they'll have on how they're experiencing it. Sometimes there's this misconception that social emotional is just foo-foo stuff. It's just airy-fairy, it's just foo-foo stuff. This is how I like to describe it. There's an island on this side. This is the language island, where they get all the language development. This on the other side is the cognitive island, where they get all the learning, shapes, colors, numbers, the concepts, the theme, blah, blah, blah. All the cognitive learning is happening here. To connect the two islands, you need a bridge. The bridge is the social emotional. The bridge gets you from the language to the cognitive. The more social emotionally intelligent our children are going to be, the more they can express their needs, the more they can articulate, the more they can self-regulate, the more they can self-control. Emotions are real, and we don't have to be scared of them. If we can mention them, we can manage them. Have you heard of the term called, if you can name it, you can tame it? Tell me in the chat if you've heard of this. It's so powerful to give our children the vocabulary for the emotions and helping them to manage it. Excuse me, my allergy is acting up, and go through it. So we don't have to pretend I'm not scared. We don't have to suppress our emotions. We experience them, allow our body to experience it, and go through it. What I'm sharing with you is life skills for children. Think about it. Birth to 5, 90% of the brain is getting wired. The ages that we are serving, the programs that are serving our age groups, 90% of the brain is getting wired. What does that mean? That means the human being that you're going to become as an adult, that foundation was laid when you were little. If you're anxious by nature as an adult, if you don't take risks, if you're not a problem solver, if you're not a critical thinker, or if you are, or if you're confident and your self-esteem is high, somebody did that for you during your first 5 years to give you a sense of all of that. During your first 5 years, your foundation was laid, and that's why you're that person today. This is what I do for teacher trainings. I want as many teachers to know about the brain development. I want many teachers to know about the behaviors, and this is lacking. Many of us don't have these tools. So going back, sorry, that was a whole digress session on just the emotional vocabulary. This is why I do these sessions for 3 hours. I'm going to try to keep it in. Okay, what's the next part? Teaching our young children that there are 3 parts to the brain. And this can happen from preschool on up. If they can speak, if they can have even 2.5, some children can get it at 2.5, but 3 for sure. So this is how you need to start having a conversation with them. You have 3 parts to your brain. Your first part makes you feel scared, which is your survival brain, right? Your second part makes you either sad or happy or mad or something. That's your emotional brain. Your third part of your brain is your calm brain. So you have a scared brain, you have a sad and happy brain, and you have a calm brain. I was doing this with my granddaughter when she was younger. And she's so funny. I told her, I said, you have 3 parts to your brain. And she said, okay, I agree. I have 3 parts to my brain, but they're not the ones you just said. I said, okay, what are they? And she said, well, I have a scared brain, a sad brain, and I have a serious brain. I said, okay, we'll go with serious, whatever, serious, calm, whatever you want to call it. Once you've had this conversation, this is what I told my granddaughter, because I was homeschooling last year during COVID, and sometimes we would have these emotional peaks. Like she would just, we would climb the mountain. You know what I'm talking about? There'd be an episode, we'll climb, and then the stress would come down, and then we would work it out. When she was calm or serious, in her words, I told her, I said, next time you're in your scared brain, you tell me. Next time you're in your sad brain, you tell me. Because I'm not in your brain. So that would help me to help you, right? This is why we need to talk to our children about the brain, because we can empower them. When you're feeling like this, it's not going to last forever. But if you can tell somebody, and then you can tell I even told her, I said, when you're feeling your sad brain or your scared brain, you let me know and also tell me how I can help you. You tell me, what do you need from me right now? You tell me. And so we started doing that. We started practicing. And guess what she did? When she would feel sad, she said, I just want you to hug me. Great. Perfect. Now I can meet your needs and we don't have to have a tantrum. But I've noticed we're not using our language to empower our children. We are coddling them, or we are misunderstanding them, or we are babying them, or we are dismissing them, or we are just saying, oh, I'm stressed out, they're stressed out, la, la, la. This is a mind shift. This is a mindset shift. If we truly want to help our children, we have to shift how we've been doing things and look at it from a different perspective, right? So emotional vocabulary, labeling the brain parts. And by the way, this is a great book. I will share the resources to my website, and you are welcome to download all the resources. I know I'm going through the books really fast. The brain is quite a big deal. So once you start bringing the brain, as your brain is very powerful. I do whole sessions on helping with focus and attention and challenging behaviors. But when we can help children to say, my impulse is to hit you, but my brain is more stronger than that, and I'm not going to hit you. I'm going to put my hands in my pocket and I'm going to walk away. I'm going to put my hands in my pocket. I'm going to say, I'm not going to hit. I'm not going to hit. That's a powerful tool, right? That's what's giving them a chance. And thank you, Marissa. She's posted the link to the resources for the website. Feel free to download. It's all there. Activities for social emotional, books for social emotional, activities for executive function, books for executive function, focus, attention. There's all there. All right, I'm going to keep going. What other strategies can we do to help children manage their negative emotions? So when we're feeling anxious and scared, it's not a good feeling. We're not feeling upbeat and positive. It's a negative emotion. But what can we do? Breathing throughout your day. If you're not a breathing program, and if this is the one thing that you can learn from today, I hope you can learn more, but start doing deep breathing in your program throughout the day. Every time you take a deep breath, you take 3 deep breaths. And if you do it twice before they go to nap, so 2 times before nap from the time they come, and 2 times after nap, sorry, excuse me, 2 times after nap till you send them home. 4 deep breaths. Every time you take a deep breath is 3 times. So 4 times 3 is 12. Just by doing just that, you will reduce the stress in your adults and reduce the stress in your children. The other one, which is a very practical strategy, these are all, by the way, very practical, and I've used them all with children from infants all the way up into elementary and beyond, really, with even adults. The other one is counting your heartbeats. When you're scared, instead of focusing on what you're scared about, start putting your hand on your heart and just counting your beats. The fact that you're counting your beats will slow you down. It'll take your attention away from what was scaring you, and you can regroup yourself and you can self-regulate, right? Self-regulation means managing my emotions. And if I'm feeling scared, that emotion is bubbling up. So I'm going to recognize it. Okay, I'm feeling scared. Okay, all right, I'm going to put my hand on my heart. I'm going to count my heartbeats, and that's going to help me to get grounded. When you're having an episode in your classroom, behaviors are extreme, you're going through something stress, try these strategies. We have to role model for our children, but we can give them all this. The second one is the sentence. This sentence is really powerful. You are safe. I'm here to help you. Why? Because they're in their scared brain. They're in their survival brain. And reassuring them, saying, you're safe. I'm here to help you. And then asking them, would you like a hug? Because if they're in their scared brain, you don't want to freak them out. You don't want to sneak up behind them. You don't want to trigger them. Asking them, would you like a hug? Front loading. This is really important. So when I was talking to my teacher, Andrea, that I was coaching, and she was telling me about Zach, I told her, start front loading the last circle time. What does that mean? Start laying out the expectations. So, Zach, I noticed when he's calm during the day, before you get to the third circle, I noticed that you have a really hard time during the third circle. What is that? Can you tell me why that happens? Asking for him, and he probably will tell you. So listen to them. They know what's happening. Listen to them. And front loading. Okay, so if you are not sure of the dance moves, or if you're not sure of the answer and you're getting nervous, putting your hand up, you are welcome to come sit next to me. You're also welcome to tell me that I'm scared and I don't know the answer and I don't want to answer. That is also okay. So start front loading when you know that the behavior is going to go down. I see a question in the chat that says that by the end of the day, she's acting out more, and she does it with you and not with somebody else. So again, children are very capable and intelligent. She's figured out how to get her needs met a certain way from different people. So she's 6 years old. I would definitely have the brain conversation with her. I would definitely give her the resources. And when she's calm, have a reflective conversation. So I've noticed by the end of the day, your behavior is this. Describe the behavior, whatever it is she's doing. You're fussy, you don't want to do anything, you're hitting, you're whining, whatever it is, describe the behavior and ask her, I've noticed that you struggle at the end of the day. So what can we do to help you? What do you need from me, and how can we help you to be more successful and happy at the end of the day? Because clearly there's a dip happening in the emotion. Clearly the stress is getting too much for her. I don't know why the stress is getting too much. Something is triggering her. It could be bio needs. It could be tired. It could be hunger. It could just be she's learned that that's the way she wants to communicate with you. So unpacking it is what I would encourage you to do, right? Go towards it. Don't shy away from it. That behavior is telling you something. There's something happening. So front loading with clear expectations, and then asking the children, when this child, the Zach, was saying that, he didn't want to do the circle time, I told his teacher, I said, ask him, when you do the circle time, do you feel something in your body? Where do you feel it? Like I was telling you about the other girl who was 9 years old. I asked her how she was feeling with the nervousness, and she said her tummy gets tight. Ask the children, can you describe to me right now, how are you feeling in your body? Where does it feel in your body that you're not feeling quite okay? Again, that'll help the children to get empowered and to know that this is not going to last forever, and I can manage it, and I can control it, and I can go through it. There's a YouTube video that I've done on anxiety for children, and I'm sure Marissa will share that video with you, where you talk about how you can process these emotions for the children, where you can help label it for them. I hope that's making sense. Keep the questions coming if you have any more, because I definitely want to hear from you, and I definitely want to allow time for that. But I also want to share the resources. If you want to put up, she's on it. Marissa's just like on it. Here's the QR code if you want to use your camera and go to it. If you don't want to use the website link, either way, togetherwegrow.online will get you the resources. Here's another strategy. So this is something that I've done with classrooms that I've been coaching with, giving every child a laminated rainbow card. And the teacher has it and the children have it, and letting the children know that in this classroom, you can take a deep breath anytime you want to. What a lovely life skill to teach our children, right? That they can self-regulate, self-control, impulse control by a simple breathing. So every child has it, they keep it in their cubby, and the sentence to go with it is, in this classroom, you can take a deep breath anytime you want. In this family, you can take a deep breath anytime you want. If you're scared, if you're sad, if you're frustrated, if you're angry, all of these emotions, I encourage you to take a deep breath. I will give you an example what happened the other day in the classroom that I've been coaching. Again, 10 boys and 2 girls, and the behaviors were extreme when I started working with this classroom. I happened to be in this classroom when this incident happened. Anthony and Mark are 2 friends who cannot live with each other and cannot live without each other. You know what I'm talking about? They're best of friends, but they egg each other on and they push each other's buttons and then they get triggered. So both of these guys were in the block area, and I heard one of them whisper, "Let's knock it down." There was a structure somebody was building, and Matthew said, "Knock it down, kick it." And the other guy, I was wondering what he was going to do about this. He didn't. He said, "I need to breathe." He walked over to his cubby, he took out his rainbow, and he did this. The reason I like the rainbow is because it has 7 breaths instead of 3, and it's tactile. He can trace something. So yeah, so he breathed, and he was able to calm himself down, and he walked away from his friend that was getting him on. Oh, I see Shellen is here. Hey, Shellen, she's one of the ones that I'm coaching. So it's nice to have you here. I get so sidetracked when I see stuff all over the place. So questions, wonderings, what are you thinking about right now? And let me know, and I will allow time for that. The Brain Basics, SAIL. I came up with this acronym all by myself. I'm so proud of myself. SAIL. When I feel safe, when I feel accepted, when I feel included, I am learning, I am sailing. When I feel safe, when I feel accepted, when I feel included, I am learning. You cannot learn if you don't feel safe. You cannot learn if you know that the teacher doesn't love you. This is a powerful statement, and I don't want to not use it. This is an amazing reminder for Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. People will never forget how you made them feel. The children in your classroom that are experiencing anxiety, insecurity, nervousness, fear, anger, sadness are experiencing the world through how you interact with them, how you show up for them. They're going to not remember all of the stuff that you are trying to teach them. They're going to remember, did you make them feel safe? Did you make them feel loved? And did they feel like they belong? Thank you, Kelly. You're sweet. This is a powerful statement, and I definitely want to read this before we end. I've come to the conclusion that I am the decisive element in the classroom. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It's my daily mood that makes the weather. As a teacher, I possess a tremendous power to make a child's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or honor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether the crisis will be escalated or de-escalated, and a child humanized or dehumanized. Let that sit with you for a minute. Is there any word that is speaking to you from the paragraph? What speaks to you from it? Dehumanized. It's powerful, right? The role, the influence that we have, the power that we hold. And if we want our children to survive and not just, thrive instead of just barely survive, we have got to give them tools where they can do self-care, and we have to do self-care. So there's a question that came in. My daughter also picks her fingers very bad until they bleed, not her fingernails, but actual fingers. Yes, so I am really feeling like your daughter is under stress. And I would try to help her by understanding what is causing all the stress. Something is causing the stress. So unpacking it and going towards it, and she may benefit from play therapy also. Play therapy is a great way to release the emotions when children don't even have a way to express themselves. Play is the way children make sense of the world, and play therapy is a very natural way. I would definitely do deep breathing with her. I would definitely, this is a great book. Maybe this will help her. Worry says what? Something is making her nervous and anxious. Something is making her do self-harm. Something is making her get like a reaction inside her. Something is making her, react in a way that is expressing the emotions that she's going through. So I would take it seriously. I would not go towards it. And I would try to get her some help. I would try to get some of these books. I would try to do breathing with her. I would try to help reduce some of her stress, because I don't know the background situation, but yes, so she's already been diagnosed with anxiety, you're telling me, but she won't talk about it. So she's not feeling safe and she's not feeling comfortable talking. So you really have to just create the space for trust and a safe space, and allow that space to be, at the end of the day, having a little chit chat time before she goes to bed. You're safe, constantly telling her you're safe. And I'm not sure what's happening in school that is adding to it. I'm not sure what's happening in the other spaces. But if she's been diagnosed with this already, I'm wondering if she has a therapist working with her. If not, a play therapist is a good strategy to go. But also reassuring her that you are there for her no matter what. You will never go anywhere. You are her support, and that you will speak up for her, allowing that space. And I think sometimes, I don't know if you've already done this, but sometimes having books, like children's books, like this one is a really powerful one. I know I showed it to you before, but I'm reading your comment. The school, she does great. It's at home, because you're her safe place. She feels comfortable to telling you what's happening at home, and she keeps it all tied up in a nice little bow at school. That's a classic way how children show up in the world. They will only let go with their person. So if she's lashing out with you and she's behaving different with you, you are her safe place. So take that as a compliment, that she's safe and she can just let go and she can breathe and she can be herself with you. She's held it together all day. So reading this book is helpful, because then you can say, okay, journaling is helpful. And maybe she can draw, she can write one word, how you're feeling, and go at her pace. Don't pressure, don't force, don't stress, because she's already in her survival brain. She's already scared. I know we hardly have any time, and I feel like I'm telling you only on the surface stuff, but I'm hoping some of this will help you, because this is real. You're facing this in real life with your children. Oh my goodness, there's tons of questions. I don't know if that helped, Ashley, or not. I was hoping that it did, but I don't know if you've got enough to. Wow, the questions are coming fast. Let me read. For you that gets upset with me, another makes. This is in your classroom, Ms. Dolores, I'm guessing. And how? Yeah. So if somebody else is hitting him and getting him upset, and I'm trying to understand the situation. Somebody else is doing something and then he's taking it out on you because he's not sure what your role is. Okay, you said yes. Yeah, so again, having private conversations with him, knowing when he's calm and not with the other children, helping him to have some of these self-regulation skills, like, okay, how did that make you feel when they did that? Because in the moment, they may not have the words. In the moment, they cannot say, don't do that, don't push me. Children freeze, right? Freezing was one of the signs of survival brain. So he takes it out on you because he's feeling you're the safe and you're going to protect him, but he doesn't understand that that person still keeps doing this to me. So I think giving him some strategies that, okay, if you don't want somebody to come with you, you can say this, you can come and tell me how you're feeling. So vocabulary strategies, okay, you can walk away, you can call a teacher. So it's hard to know abstract when I don't know the exact situation. I hope that makes sense. I would like to share this with my staff as well. Yeah, reach out to me. I would love to. Yeah, I do school visits. I go anywhere in America. Yeah, actually international now with Zoom. I've done some sessions in Canada and Australia. Any suggestions how to coach the parents to stop doing everything for their child? The twins have learned to sit and wait out. Eventually, the parents step in and do it. Fear of failure is so real. Fear of failure is so real because they're coming from a perfectionist, their experience. Oh, so I have another example. So perfection is an emotion, believe it or not. Perfection is an emotion. And when I feel like I can't be perfect, I won't try because I don't want to fail. Fear of failure is such a good one. So here's a sentence you can use for those children who are experiencing fear of failure or perfectionism is coming in the middle. You haven't learned it yet. The power of yet. You haven't mastered it yet. You haven't learned it yet. Be kind to yourself. We're all learning different things. I have many things I still haven't learned. There are many things you haven't learned. Don't get impatient. Again, impatience is an emotion. Frustration is an emotion. Even perfection, label it. I've done this with children who are 4 and 5. I said, so guess what? I have something called perfect Prerna. Perfect Miss Prerna, because I was talking to the classroom. Perfect Miss Prerna. And when perfect Miss Prerna shows up, she doesn't let me do anything. She just stops me. She doesn't want me to do anything. And then what can I do the next time? Okay. Has that ever happened to you? So I asked the kids, and one of them was very smart. She said, you mean like when I don't want to write? I think perfect Ava shows up then. I said, great. I was so happy that they understood it. I was like, yes, that's it. Perfect Ava stops you from writing. So what can we do? I told her, I said, the next time perfect Ava shows up, you tell me. I don't want you to do anything. I just want you to say, Miss Prerna, perfect Ava is here. We just want to watch it. We just want to observe it. And once we can watch it, and that's an emotion we can say, oh, okay, so perfect Prerna showed up. Okay, it's going to stop me doing this work now. Okay, I'm not going to listen to you. I can do this. So I can self-talk. Thank you for bringing this up. The fear of failure and perfectionism is so crippling for some children. They won't take safe risks. They won't try anything new because they don't want to fail, or they don't want to embarrass themselves, or they don't want to feel like they're the odd ones out. Children want to blend in. Children want to belong. Children want to know that they're the same, and anything that makes them stand out, they don't want any part of it. So I hope that made sense. Any other questions? Any other wonderings? So we're almost out of time. If you had to choose a word to describe how are you feeling right now after our hour together, put it in the chat. I would love to hear, what are you feeling right now? We've been talking about emotions. What is your emotion right now? How are you feeling after our time together? Inspired, yay, thankful, grateful, hopeful. Oh, you guys made my day. Oh, that's fantastic. Reassured. Oh, that's such a good emotion. I'm so happy you're feeling reassured. Oh, yes, you already are, Miss Shellen. She's such an amazing rock star. She's a director in Houston, doing good work. Children are lucky to have you. Oh, that's awesome. What else? Any other last minute? Oh, encouraged, inspired. That is so fantastic. That makes my heart so. Oh, hi, Elizabeth. Happy to see you here. Oh, and Shelby is here too. It's so nice to see friends and names in here. Sorry, I get carried away. It's just nice to see friends in the chat and not feeling alone. All right. Any questions? Marissa, Scott, do you want to jump on in? Anything else you want to talk about? How was it? Any questions?
Prerna, it was awesome. I put in there my one word was athletic, just to get a kick out of like.
Scott,
Prerna, you're teaching us all how to be okay. So this is all quantified self. This is all emotional intelligence, and I think just working through the awareness when it comes to early childhood education, making children aware and improving their ability to process and synthesize emotions. I think it's good. I believe it or not, I think we all deal with adults that really need a muse here. They need this instructional type of
But
work.
but that makes sense, Scott, because they didn't get it when they were a child. They can't show up as an adult and have this. And this is why I'm determined to change it for as many children, because we got to give this to them so they don't have to grow up and struggle with it, right? We can't give what we don't have. And so many adults
I
don't
feel
have it.
And as school leaders, Prerna, I mentor entrepreneurs, and I think I talk more than more than anything about how you kind of like navigate through the world of people, and how your goal is to maybe inspire somebody, or maybe talk to their soul, or maybe align them with the work that their soul has been yearning to do, and I think again, if we can align this with child development, parenting, and really all work, there's nothing better, Prerna, than being around people that are um, they're content, and they're even, and they have like this appreciation and gratitude. They sit in a different place. Just imagine if everybody was like that. I mean, I've got a ton of work to do. But being
We all,
around people
we
like
all
you,
do. We all do. We all do. You're talking about the Maslow's hierarchy, right? You can't get that till you have the basic needs met. And if as early childhood leaders, if as early childhood educators, we can share brain knowledge and behavior knowledge with as many people so that more children can get help, so that we're raising them up right, so that their hierarchy of Maslow is already met, like they are already at that gratitude space that you're talking about, right?
absolutely. And then the other part of it, there's a famous psychologist, and he says his thing is, don't do anything to your children that will make them unpleasant to be around, because then that Maslow's hierarchy of needs becomes unattainable. So having children that are delightful, and when you can work on their emotional intelligence and their self-awareness, and so they're not miserable to be around, it creates this accelerated return on being able to kind of like operate and fulfill your own needs and be around other people. So this isn't, his advice of don't let your children be unpleasant to be around. It sounds a little selfish, like right, but
So
it's
I
actually
agree.
like the biggest. It's the biggest, like it's the best tooling you can
Yeah.
give somebody.
I agree with you. We don't want to be surrounded by children who are obnoxious. We just don't want to raise that, because as a society, we all need to live with these people. And right now, the instant gratification with children, the instant pleasing with children, that don't allow the discomfort for children. I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's a new parent in town, or new parenting style in town, which is called the lawnmower. Have you heard of the lawnmower?
Hey, when I was being parented, my dad was like, "You get your ass out there and go push the lawnmower." But no, I have not heard of the lawnmower.
Okay, so there's the helicopter parents that just hover over their children, they're just right there. The lawnmower parent is going in front of their child and smoothing out everything, and they're taking away any hardship, they're taking away any risk, they're taking away any failure, they're taking away any disappointment. The problem with that is that you can't go through life without experiencing these things, right? So we're doing an injustice to our children. We are treating them as, oh, you're not capable of handling this emotion. You're not capable of being disappointed. You're not capable of being scared. No, scared is a real emotion. We all feel scared. Disappointment is a real emotion. So experience it. What does that feel like? Where in your body does that feel like? How does that feel? No, not good. Okay, now it'll pass, right? It's an emotion. It'll pass. It won't live with you forever, but don't be scared of it.
Prerna, so we'll wrap up. I know we're at the end of our hour, but what you just said about the lawnmower parent, Beth Cannon came to Key West, and
I love that.
she just kills it on stage. And I had to go speak after her, and of course, you know, my knuckles are
The bar is
dragging
up
on the
here.
ground,
Yeah.
and yeah, the bar is, and her energy's good, and then I get up there and I say swear words and stuff. So she's just such a hard act to follow. But the morning that she spoke, she did sunrise yoga for everybody at the conference. Well, she timed it just right so that the rain like started coming down. First of all, we're in Key West and everybody's having a hard time getting up anyway. But I said, you know, Beth, I asked Beth, I was like, I'd love to get into yoga. Tell me why you're such a big fan. And she's like, Scott, because it's kind of like you put yourself into these situations that aren't so pleasant, and then you learn mindfulness, and you learn to like live in those tough situations. And it just she loves the quantified self element of yoga. So with that, let's focus on not being lawnmowers. Let's be Beth Cannon style yogis. You know, let's help
Yeah.
people understand their discomfort. I love that.
You know, we were together in Reno, remember, Scott, and Beth and I were sharing a room. So I actually meditate every single day. And there's actually a website for educators, meditate for educators. What is it called? It's a free website, meditation for educators. Maybe I can, anyhow, yes, meditation and mindfulness will help you to deal with the uncomfortable situations that we get into. I'm going to tell her that we were chatting about her at the end.
Please do, please do. And Prerna, okay. So everybody, this was amazing. Great content, and our audience just kind of built and built and built as you kept going. So nobody hung up. Well, when I came on, everybody hung up. But let's do this again. Let's plan to do this next month. Would love to have you back.
Sure.
Also, I want you to do something for us in Australia too. So
sure,
we'll talk about that.
Let's do it.
But
yeah.
But everybody out there, I hope you're virtually giving Prerna a standing ovation. And in fact, I saw it in the chat. Thank you, Prerna. This was awesome. Everybody out there who joined us, we love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. And
come to the bounds. Come to the bounds. Evelyn will be there. Beth will be there. I'll be there. Come join us. Scott's putting on an amazing conference for owners and directors. Let's meet in Buffalo. Let's go. Let's do this. Oh,
yes.
You guys are awesome. You guys
let's meet you and let's see you in Buffalo, Prerna. Once again, thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you.
Everybody, take care. We love you guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.